What is up, guys? I am back in university, and I do apologize about the infrequent video posting, but I will still try to upload as many as I can. So it's a Monday evening, and I don't really feel like, doing research or writing a script. I decided for this video that I'm going to respond directly to the comments that people have left on my videos over the past couple of months. So my first video's comments I'm going to be responding to is an older one I made. I believe I made this video at around May of last year. It's titled Response to I Am Not Black, You Are Not White. One person wrote in the comments, "Race is an unscientific word, check it out. Spencer Wells' Genographic Project. Labels and discrimination vary from country to country. The way discrimination in South Africa works, not before apartheid, but the way it is now." So before reading this comment, I'd never heard of the Genographic Project. I did look it up, and it is like a project to help determine where your ancestors come from. I'm not sure what this has to do with race being an unscientific word. I really don't see how this debunks the theory of race. I don't believe in the scientific validity of race, so it's not something that I believe in anyway, but obviously race is a social construct. I mean, our ideas of race change throughout history. Alright, thanks for the comment. Next one, another person asked which city I'm from. I'm from the northeastern part of the United States, and I'm from the state of Pennsylvania. For now, that's pretty much all the information I'm going to give about my location. Alrighty, and another person commented on my video, "There has never been such a thing as a black or white human, and I challenge anyone reading this to show me proof, actual photos of a white or black human existing." I guess we could play semantics all day long, but I mean, if you're talking about a human that is paper white or as black as coal, I mean, some humans are close, but obviously, if we're talking about racial categorization of the social construction of race, a white person is someone whose, majority of their ancestors are of European descent. Black person, majority of their ancestors are of African descent. Obviously, there isn't much scientific proof to support the idea of a biological race, but yeah, I'm not sure what you're really asking for. Another person who makes YouTube videos, who's also a very close friend of mine, Nerds of Nutrition, commented and said, "We are all just energy and inhabit different containers, if you will. Sometimes labels diminish a person." I definitely agree with you. We are all much more than any label. So yeah, I pretty much agree with her, and she's awesome, so definitely subscribe to her channel. Alright, I'm gonna jump ships to my why intersectional and social justice veganism is cancer. I'm surprised I didn't get much hate on this video, because I know a lot of people who watch me are like the intersectional vegans. I got, one person who was saying, "Sorry, as a female, I agree with Sorsha. By the way, I don't like labels." I'm not sure what she's talking about with labels, but it just isn't a feminist issue, and this is another problem with intersectional veganism conflating different ideologies and different movements, and this is the problem, is that it makes either ideology that much more nebulous. It's important to have focused activism, and it's important for different movements to focus on specific issues, and feminism has always been an anthropocentric issue, and I think it should remain that way if it wants to have any credibility. If it wants to continue to be effective, it must stay anthropocentric. It must be a human-based movement, and this veganism should focus on animals if it wants to continue to be effective. Otherwise, people will not take either ideology seriously. Another person who has been commenting really frequently on my videos, he states, "Feminism is not what you make it out to be. Feminism is a female supremacy movement." Once again, if we're talking about feminism in practice, obviously some feminist legislation is harmful to men. For example, in Canada, women and men are required to have, equal footing in government, and this is hurtful to men because men tend to seek more government related jobs. So what you're doing is you're discriminating against many men just so that you can have just as many women in government. So if we're talking about feminism in practice, yes, feminism can be harmful to men, but feminism in its ideology is essentially the same as egalitarianism in that it's just treating, women and men equally. So no, I don't think that feminism is a female supremacy movement. Feminism is about elevating women and men to the same level of, social and political and economic equality. I also made an older video at around December of last year about whether or not atheists celebrate Christmas or whether or not they should celebrate Christmas. One person responded, "The answer is pretty easy because Christmas is a secular holiday, not a Christian one. Atheists and anyone can celebrate it, though even if it were a religious holiday, people of other religions, including non-religions, can celebrate it. thus making this question moot. I don't think that this makes the question moot. It's still interesting because, a lot of people on my college campus, for example, they mock me when, I tell them I do celebrate Christmas. Yes, I'm an atheist. Yes, I celebrate Christmas. And it's important to discuss why it's okay for atheists to celebrate Christmas because, even though Christmas has religious roots, the very idea of Christmas was initially a pagan tradition. And so it just teaches you that people can easily take any concept, any holiday, and make it their own. And atheists do the same. All right, so the next comment I'm going to respond to is on the my response video to the vegan gains and roaming millennial debate, which was pretty much a disappointment for me. One person commented, "So let me get this straight, just because she didn't know the term lactase means somehow those enzymes don't exist in our stomach, correct? And we didn't gain them right? Look, kid, shut the fuck up," while the jokes of an adult that are vegans and the practical people who realize we can't have a vegan system talk. We aren't all rich YouTube stars who sit on our ass, festering all day because we want to use our newfound fame to push our social agenda onto others, because deep down we are insecure. Well, I'm not a kid, I am an adult, and also I didn't make the argument that humans don't have the enzymes to digest meat. I'm not sure who you're responding to. If that's vegan gains you're responding to, then that's fine, but that's not the argument that I hold. As for my own argument, I don't believe that because humans can break down meat and absorb the nutrients from meat, I don't think that makes meat healthy. For example, the World Health Organization has stated multiple times that bacon and some other meats are pretty carcinogenic and can cause cancer. You can either take this information or you can leave it. Anyway, moving on, another person responded on this video, "I am really not a fan of this whole debate me bro subculture on YouTube. Each side goes back to their corner and says, 'Oh, we wrecked you, har har, nothing gained. Richard is a smart kid. I wish he would do something with it outside of YouTube. I fear he defines himself by vegan gains now, and that's really selling himself short, especially when he can barely pay the rent doing it.'" No, I disagree with you. If he wants to establish his brand as a vegan channel and as a vegan YouTuber, then that's his right to do that, and I think that's brilliant. I think, if it's the fact that somebody could even dare to make a living based off of veganism, I think that's great. And if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. People do all different kinds of things on YouTube. Some people, they found their careers on being pranksters. Other people do it on being lifestyle bloggers, beauty gurus. There are many different genres of whatever. However, I do agree with you about the debate me bro subculture. I think the important thing that we want to understand about debate is that it's not always just a matter of trying to make somebody look stupid. I think debating is important as long as both people are open-minded, or both parties, as long as they're open-minded about being wrong, about changing their opinion based off of new evidence. It also is useful in terms of trying to argue what you believe. And so if people have good attitudes about debating in general, I think it could be a lot more useful. And for the grand finale, I'm going to be responding to some of the comments in my Digging Myself In Deeper, Gnostic Atheism is Illogical Part 2 video. Alright, so the first comment I'm going to respond to is someone who states, wistfully accepting the theoretical possibility of a God existing, the probability is so minuscule, almost infinite, octillions to 1 against it, it's just easier to state no God exists. As for the Abrahamic gods, they're so obviously man-made, like bad first-century sci-fi. Now, this is essentially a fallacy of reasoning called personal incredulity, which is because you found something difficult to understand or are unaware of how it works, you made it out like it's probably not true. Interestingly, this same fallacy of reasoning could have been applied by Louis Pasteur and Edward Jenner in trying to discover the existence of viruses. Now, viruses are obviously very, very tiny microscopic pieces of RNA or DNA protected by a thin protein shell. And at the time, electron microscopes did not exist, and it would have been impossible to visually spot a virus. One could have easily appealed to incredulity by stating, well, viruses are so foreign, the concept, that it might as well not exist. All right, moving on to the next question, or should I say questions. One person asked, do you know the meaning of God? I don't know the meaning of God. I do believe that God is ultimately unknowable. Another reason why I'm also an agnostic atheist. Now, typically when I talk about God in my destruction of Gnostic atheism. I'm talking about the typically the Abrahamic attributes of God, and I basically say, you know, the one who is omnipotent, the creator of the universe. He exists outside of the laws of physics. Do you believe that God exists, you ask? Well, I don't believe that a God exists. There is a very clear lack of sufficient evidence to suggest so. When one compares our tiny, limited knowledge to the vast scope of the universe, I think it would be just absolutely crazy to state that we would have absolute certainty that there is no creator. With that being said, such a claim would require a lot of evidence, and there is no evidence to suggest that. Do you have faith in that God? No, I don't have faith in that God. Another person strawmans me in the comment section by saying, so you're saying you're a Christian and you definitely believe in Santa, and you are 100% certain of this because you have irrefutable physical evidence. Gotcha. I knew you were awesome, but this takes the cruelty-free cake. So you're strawmanning me, first of all. I'm not a Christian, I'm not a theist, I'm an atheist, and I'm agnostic atheist. You think that not having certainty means that you believe in something. I am uncertain whether or not God exists, therefore I believe God exists. That's illogical, and that's not even an accurate understanding of certainty or plausibility. So I am an agnostic atheist. I lack the belief in a God or gods, but I also lack the evidence to claim with 100% certainty that no God exists. In other words, I am admitting that even though I lack a belief in God because of sufficient evidence, I don't have sufficient counter evidence to claim with 100% certainty that no God exists. Now, another person, Darren McStravick, who is like a YouTube friend, I guess, of mine, he commented and said, I just watched the whole thing and I can guarantee you right now that every point you made against a priori negation of God requires depthy refutation. This pretty much sounds like Darren, considering the high level of vocabulary. He continues, I will touch upon subjects from metaphysiology to metaphysics, epistemology, and its disciplines in the process. Just letting you know, the video might be around 30 minutes long, judging from how many subjects I need to touch upon. Should be fun. Yeah, I hope he makes that video soon, because I would be interested in watching someone refute my each of my points for 30 minutes. That would be pretty good. It would be pretty detrimental to my ego, but for the most part, it would be pretty good. Oh, and Darren, just to give you some advice, attempt not to obfuscate the philosophical tenor of your priori negation of God. In other words, try to speak in clear, coherent English and be aware and mindful of your audience. Most of us are not PhDs, we're not philosophy majors. If your response is filled with vocabulary that is far too complex for me to understand, and I really won't know what you're talking about. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Peace.